with me, and I just walked in, and she's laying on the bathroom floor, and there's blood everywhere. And I don't know what happened.
Is she awake?
She's not awake. There's blood all over her face
Caitlin?
and all on the back of her head.
Is she breathing?
No. Yeah.
Listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions. Count out loud so I can count with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Her brain is leaking. Do I stop? I don't know.
This frantic voice belongs to Caitlin Cash, who had just walked into the bloody aftermath of a meticulously planned murder. What would unfold next was a chilling tale of obsession, betrayal, and murder, and at the heart of it all was a twisted fact that would spiral into a deadly game of cat and mouse.
Whatever happened, this was a cold-blooded killing.
Whoever did this, they went there for one reason. This was personal. Who would hate Mariah so much that they would want her dead?
As investigators dug deeper, one name kept surfacing over and over: Caitlin Armstrong, a woman whose desperation to preserve the life she built would soon push her to terrifying extremes. What began as a tragic homicide soon escalated into a nationwide manhunt, and then a global chase for a fugitive willing to do whatever it took to disappear, including altering her appearance and adopting a new identity. It all began on the night of May 11th, 2022 at 9:56 p.m. when police were dispatched to the home of Caitlin Cash on the 1700 block of Maple Avenue in Austin, Texas. Cash had just returned home from dinner, only to discover her friend, 25-year-old Anna Mariah Mo Wilson, lying lifeless in a pool of blood.
Austin police!
Do I stop? I don't know what happened. I just walked in on her. Yes, over here.
Okay, I'll let you go so you can talk to them, okay?
You guys gonna stick with him?
When officers entered the apartment, a chilling sight confronted them.
During the exam of the decedent on scene, we discovered that she possibly had 2 gunshot wounds to her face and head area. While examining her hair, we felt something hard, and it ended up being a fired projectile that had passed through her head. We did locate a gunshot wound that appeared to go through her chest and pass through the front, through her back, and into the floor below her.
It was the third wound that stood out most to detectives. A clean through and through, fired while Mo was already on the ground.
The first 2 shots were fired from a distance away. Based on the fired cartridge case that was right near the decedent, it appeared that someone had stood over the decedent and shot her directly through the chest.
One of the bullets had even torn through her index finger.
I observed a wound on one of her hands that appeared to be a small, maybe some type of grazing wound or cut.
It appeared as though whenever the perpetrator fired a gunshot, that Mariah was holding her hand, trying to stop this bullet from striking her in the head.
Detectives quickly concluded this wasn't just a homicide. It was a cold, calculated execution.
Somebody standing over her and shooting her after she had already been shot in the head makes it sound like it was personal, that there was some type of issue between the killer and the decedent.
Whoever did this, they went there for one reason, and that was to kill Mariah Wilson. Who would hate Mariah so much that they would want her dead?
To understand what they were really dealing with, detectives turned to one person who might hold the answers: Caitlin Cash. Cash told detectives that Mo Wilson was a professional cyclist from San Francisco. She had flown into Austin on May 10th, 2022, and Cash had picked her up from the airport. Mo was in town to compete in a high-profile bike race scheduled for that weekend in Hyco, Texas. But the race wasn't the only thing on her calendar.
Do you know if she's talking to anyone or any friends? I know you say you don't listen to him.
She was with her friend Colin. Yeah, he was like, Colin Strickland. Strickland. Yeah. We went swimming. She's staying really close with his family.
Did you see a gun or anything like that in there when you were there?
He's
frame. We have a phone number here.
Is it Collins Strickland? Yeah. And you know where Collins Strickland lives or anything like that? His phone number. I can call him. Or I can give you his phone number. I want information from you. Okay, so he went swimming with Collins Strickland. Went swimming. I left to go have dinner with my friends, and then I came back. This is my house. She's staying with me. What's Collins Strickland? Do you know? And Collins is with 2 L, correct? You said that they went somewhere. Do you know where they went somewhere? No, I don't know where they went somewhere. When was the last time you spoke with her? When I left here at 5:30. And she went to 2L.
First name is what?
Collins. And is it Strickland? Yeah. STRICKLAND. Like land. You know how old is he? He's like 35, maybe. Are you guys friends? You and him are friends or, like acquaintances? He does. He's a cyclist. A cyclist? Yeah. Does he live in this area? He lives in South Austin. Do you know his address where he comes? No.
That connection immediately put Colin Strickland in the spotlight as a person of interest. Detectives planned to question him soon, but first, far more urgent matters demanded their attention. Cash told detectives that when she returned home from dinner, she noticed something odd. Mo's large bicycle travel bag was left at the bottom of the stairs, partially blocking the carport, but her $14,000 Specialized S-Works racing bike was nowhere to be found.
That's her bike. Yeah.
Oh, you're there.
So she's renting like this first unit right here. This is her vehicle. And these are her members. So this
bike covered is
yeah.
So where would her bike be at?
It would be right inside the door. Yeah.
Is her bike's inside the door? Is there a bike? Anywhere? You see a bike? She said she would put it right by the door. No bike. That's negative, Jobs.
With no signs of the bike inside the house either, officers quickly turned their attention to the wooded area nearby. After a brief search, they found Mo's bicycle just 68 feet south of Cash's residence, hidden in a dense cluster of bamboo.
Hey, come here. Somebody might be in here. This might be the bike, okay? But hold on. Somebody might be in here.
Henry, hold on. Henry, go ahead. There's 41 shots down. 22.
Okay. All right. Over there. At 432, I located the bike.
It was late at night, and a female patrol officer who was securing part of the alleyway located a bicycle in an abandoned lot, partially concealed by some trees. We ended up taking swabs from the handlebar, from the crossbar, and from the seat of the bike, and those swabs were preserved for later DNA testing.
Since the bike was found so close to the scene, officers immediately suspected it had been deliberately placed there as a red herring. Someone wanted to throw them off course. And if the killer was calculated enough to stage evidence, then they were likely already taking steps to cover their tracks. That's why officers wasted no time and immediately began collecting evidence from the scene.
There were 3 spent cartridge cases that were on scene. 2 of them were in the kitchen, and the third one was inside of the bathroom next to where we found Mariah. The head stamp on these spent cartridge cases read JAG 9mm, all 3 of them.
The consistent markings on these casings confirmed that all 3 shots had come from the same weapon. pointing to a single shooter. To cover all bases, detectives needed to rule out Caitlin Cash as a potential suspect. So they brought her to the station for a gunshot residue test, which could determine whether she had recently fired a weapon or even been close to one. The results came back negative. Given that Mariah had been shot in a tight, confined space, detectives concluded that if Cash had pulled the trigger, clear traces of residue would have been present. Her alibi also checked out. She had indeed been with friends at the time of Mo's murder. With no evidence linking her to the shooting, Caitlin Cash was officially ruled out as a suspect. So investigators turned their attention to the last person known to have seen Mo Wilson alive, Colin Strickland. As they dug deeper, they discovered that Mo and Colin had spent the evening together, grabbing drinks at a nearby cafe.
Cash has an electronic door lock on her door. It's connected to an app that's on her phone. Anytime that someone uses a code to lock or unlock the door, a notification is sent to her phone. Cash said that at 5:55 p.m., she received a notification saying that her door was locked, indicating that Mariah was leaving to go out to dinner. At 8:36 p.m., Cash received another notification indicating the door was unlocked. This showed that Mariah had just arrived home.
But there was no record of the door being locked again, indicating Mo didn't secure it behind her. This made Colin a crucial lead. He could offer valuable insight into the events leading up to the murder. And if he had answers, they needed to get to him fast. But before bringing him in for questioning, investigators turned their attention to the neighborhood.
After the initial crime scene is broken down, we start going door to door in the apartments and houses around the scene of the crime. We're looking for video footage, cameras, doorbell cameras that might have caught somebody in the area.
As they reviewed hours of surveillance footage, they searched for anything that seemed out of place. That's when one particular vehicle caught their eye. A dark-colored Jeep Cherokee with a distinctive bike rack mounted on the back. It had been circling the neighborhood multiple times throughout the day. Then, at 8:37 p.m., just 1 minute after Wilson returned home, the Jeep was seen driving directly towards Cash's house.
This mysterious car is now seen slowing down at the bottom of these stairs. It appeared as though it started coming to a stop near where the stairs lead up to this front door.
From that moment on, no other vehicles passed by until emergency responders arrived at the scene. As investigators continued canvassing the neighborhood, they uncovered another chilling piece of evidence. A nearby home had a Ring doorbell camera installed, and what it had captured was haunting. Around 9:15 p.m., a scream echoed through the night, followed by 2 rapid gunshots. 6 seconds later, a third shot rang out, and at 9:17 p.m., a nearby CCTV camera captured the Jeep speeding away from the scene. This was a crucial breakthrough. Investigators now needed to determine who was behind the wheel and how they were connected to Mo Wilson. But there was a problem. The bike rack installed on the SUV had obscured the license plate, and the CCTV footage was too grainy to make out the driver's face. So the identity of the SUV's owner remained a mystery.
This car could potentially be my perpetrator responsible for the murder. But the windows on this SUV, they were dark. I didn't even know how many occupants were inside. Now I need to know who was inside of this car.
Still, at least the detectives had some leads to follow up on. They had the precise time of the murder, a suspect vehicle, and the name of the last person to see Mo Wilson alive. And all three would soon collide in a way no one saw coming. With the clock ticking, investigators knew they needed answers, and that meant talking to Colin Strickland. So on May 12, 2022, investigators went to Colin Strickland's home. As they pulled up, something immediately caught their attention.
As I approach Colin's house, I see this black SUV with chrome around the windows in the driveway. This SUV appeared to be the same vehicle that was seen in the surveillance footage, stopping or slowing down next to the apartment at 8:37 p.m.
At that moment, Colin Strickland became the prime suspect in Mo Wilson's murder. And yet, the story he was about to tell would complicate everything.
Colin, hey, so, do you know Anna? Mo. Anna Mo. Yeah, everybody calls her Mo. Monique, last name is Wilson. Rider, she's a gravel rider. Yes, I do. Okay, so there's really no easy way to say this. So apparently, last night she passed away. How did? Right now it's an open investigation, but it is being investigated as a homicide.
The officers deliberately withheld the details of how Mo died, a standard tactic when speaking to a potential suspect in a homicide. As they broke the news, Colin's face went blank, the color draining from it, as though life had just been sucked out of him. But something else was evident. Detectives noticed Colin struggling to make eye contact. Was it the shock of Mo's death, or was he avoiding their gaze because he knew more than he was letting on? Then, without any prompting from the detectives, Colin Strickland began to recount his last interaction with Mo Wilson.
We went to bed yesterday. We happened and I were complete over. And I stopped her with the apartment she's been staying at. Yeah. Great cash and yeah.
To get the full story, detectives asked Colin to come down to Austin Police Headquarters for a formal interview. He agreed without hesitation. Investigators started by asking him basic questions about his life, his relationships, and how he knew Mo Wilson. That's when they learned about Caitlin Armstrong, Colin's on-again, off-again girlfriend. The two had met in October 2018 on the dating app Hinge. On the surface, Colin and Caitlin appeared to be the perfect couple. They shared a passion for bike racing, had a close-knit circle of friends, and even started a business together. In 2021, when a plumbing accident forced Caitlin out of her apartment, she moved in with Colin. What was meant to be a temporary arrangement soon became permanent. To outsiders, it looked like a natural step forward in their relationship, but behind closed doors, things were beginning to unravel. Caitlin wanted a deeper commitment, but Colin wasn't ready to take that step. The disconnect between them grew, and the cracks in the relationship began to widen. By October 21st, 2021, things had reached a breaking point. They officially called off their relationship, but continued living under the same roof. After the breakup, both moved on quickly, showing little hesitation in pursuing new relationships. And that's when Mo Wilson entered the picture. Colin met Mo at a local cycling event, and the two instantly clicked. Their connection was undeniable, and before long, it evolved into something more. But what Colin didn't realize was just how deeply his growing bond with Mo was affecting Caitlin, and Caitlin wasn't subtle about it. Somehow, she got a hold of Mo's phone number. In the weeks that followed, Caitlin bombarded Mo with a series of threatening messages, warning her to stay away from Colin. The harassment became so intense that Mo had no choice but to block Caitlin's number, desperate for it to stop. She even asked Colin to intervene and get Caitlin to back off. Despite their undeniable chemistry, Mo and Colin's relationship was brief. According to Colin, they dated for just a week or two before he decided to end it. Not long after, he and Caitlin rekindled their relationship, despite Caitlin's unsettling behavior toward Mo. As for Mo and Caitlin, they went back to being just friends. Colin claimed he was merely helping Mo with sponsorships and career advice. But given Caitlin's volatile jealousy, Colin decided to keep his continued contact with Mo a secret, and he took deliberate steps to ensure Caitlin never found out.
I haven't gotten to the bottom of it, whether it was my girlfriend who would occasionally just go into my phone and block her.
Oh no.
Or if it was just literally just a glitch of contacts. And this is more complexity, but I have it saved as a different name just because I am.
I gotcha. You say it was Christine.
Pretty much. I feel the right to have a friendship with this person.
Of course.
Without having constant strife.
Why was it that you had to change the name from Mo in your phone?
Just because because in the past Caitlin has looked at my phone and I just didn't want to surface
Basically, that would always start fights.
Exactly. Yeah.
She didn't really like it.
Exactly, and I feel like I should just be able to at least be friends with even despite having a history with like a peer that's in the same business I am, which is really rare. And it's hard to find kind of like people who understand this. It's a really like weird, strange, rare job. So people that you're, friends with who are in the same like strange position of like having this really unusual job.
Yeah,
I just felt like it seemed like it would be easier. It's strange. Strange.
Yeah. No.
My life is strange.
With a clear picture of the tangled dynamics between Colin, Mo, and Caitlin, detectives shifted their focus to the day of the murder. Colin admitted that he and Mo had been texting throughout the day, exchanging casual messages. At some point, they made plans to meet for drinks.
The last one was 5:43, and I was on my way to her place from far west on a motorcycle, and I just stopped the traffic. So I said, I had been there before when she was staying there in October. To this address. It took a while to get there, but then I went upstairs. Yeah. She grabbed a couple things. We chatted for like 5 or 10 minutes. Just hadn't seen each other in a while. So then we went down to the motorcycle. She got the helmet, then we rode to Deep Eddy. Mm-hmm. We went swimming for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. Pretty short.
Okay.
And then we had parked in the central parking lot of Deep Eddy, and we just walked. Cool Burger is adjacent to it. I'm not sure when we left. I was texting, but it was before dark. It was probably 6:30.
Later, while reviewing his messages with detectives, Colin clarified that he had dropped Mo off at around 8:30 p.m. Based on that timeline, they likely left Pool Burger sometime between 7:45 and 8 p.m.
We got back on the motorcycle in the Deep Eddy parking lot. We drove via 15th Street all the way to 35, went up to MLK, and then went over and I went up took Chestnut and then went up the back alley and stopped right at the base of a staircase that goes up to the place she's staying.
Okay.
And we said a pretty brief goodbye there. I took the helmet because I only had one. I was riding without a helmet. She grabbed her backpack from my pannier, and I didn't actually like watch her go up the stairs, as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
After dropping Mo off, Colin rode his motorcycle northbound through the alleyway until he reached East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. At 8:36 p.m., while stopped at a red light, he texted Caitlin asking if she was still out getting food and if he could meet her. He then turned left onto MLK, continued onto Chiquan, and made his way towards 7th Street. Colin arrived back at his house at 8:43 p.m. Once inside, he sent another text to Caitlin. Then he headed into the garage to work on his bikes, getting them ready for an upcoming race. At 9:21 p.m., while still in the garage, Colin sent Caitlin another message. Moments later, her 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee pulled into the driveway. Given everything Colin had revealed, detectives began to suspect that Caitlin Armstrong might be more than just a jealous ex. She could be a key suspect. Colin's connection to Mo was clear, and Caitlin's jealousy over their relationship was no secret.
I guess obviously she didn't like Mo. Like, did she do that with like all of the girls that are in your phone, or like just with Mo, since y'all had that
most of them
special connection?
Most of them.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know, she loves me, and she wants to be, you know.
Yeah. Basically, nobody else can have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So gets kind of jealous.
Yeah,
understandable. I mean,
exactly.
This tension, combined with Caitlin's history of threatening and harassing Mo, placed her squarely in the spotlight. That suspicion only deepened when investigators ran the plates of the black Jeep Cherokee. It didn't belong to Colin. It was registered to Caitlin Armstrong.
Whenever I was over there earlier, I saw there was the other car, because you said that you drive a motorcycle and then you drove the Mercedes.
Drove Mercedes.
Up here. I guess the other one
the Jeep is hers.
Okay, so that belongs to her. Okay. Do you ever drive that one?
No.
Okay.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? What's wrong with it?
It's a Barbie car.
Oh, really?
I like manuals and diesels and things that are hard to drive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I gotcha.
I grew up with old cars. I
Yeah.
just don't like nice cars.
This revelation added a new layer to an already tangled case. Detectives pressed Colin further. Did he know where Caitlin had been that night?
She got home around like 9:21. Like where had she been? Like that whole.
She had actually a laser hair removal appointment, she said, at 7 p.m. downtown.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, I'm not exactly sure. She had texted me asking if I wanted to meet up, and I didn't reply. And you mean Caitlin?
Yeah.
And then I didn't see her or hear from her until I was back at home.
And did she say anything like whenever she got home? Like where had she been?
No, she was in her, like a yoga outfit, carrying a yoga mat.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I assumed.
Did she actually go to like a studio or anything? Or
yeah, typically.
Yeah.
Typically. I'm not sure which one. There's, I think, a few different ones. She's always trying to convince me to go, and I've never actually been.
Yeah. I gotcha. And so where's the studio at?
I don't know which one it would be.
Oh, okay. So it's just like various different ones.
Yeah.
Although Colin had been texting Caitlin the night of the murder, he couldn't provide a solid alibi for her. He had no idea where she was or what she was doing during the critical window when Mo was killed. Detectives now had a potential link between Caitlin and the crime scene, but it wasn't enough. They needed something concrete. So they asked Colin a crucial question. Did he own any firearms? Without hesitation, Colin admitted that he did. He told detectives he had purchased 2 handguns between December 2021 and January 2022, one for himself and one for Caitlin. Colin also revealed that Caitlin had gone to the firing range with her sister to practice shooting. This was a critical detail. If the murder weapon turned out to be a 9mm, investigators might be one step closer to linking Caitlin to the crime. As Colin kept talking, detectives moved quickly. They executed a search warrant on his home. Inside, they found both firearms, exactly as Colin had described.
We noticed that the Springfield seemed very clean. There was no carbon buildup in the chamber. It possibly had never been fired, or if it had been fired, it had been cleaned really well. Upon inspection of the Sig Sauer, we noticed that the chamber was extremely dirty, a lot of carbon buildup. It had obviously been fired.
The guns were seized and sent for forensic testing. Now, investigators needed to answer a critical question. Had one of these weapons been used to kill Mo Wilson? And even more urgently, was Caitlin Armstrong involved? With the evidence mounting, Caitlin Armstrong had now become the prime suspect in the murder of Mo Wilson. But despite everything investigators had uncovered, it still wasn't enough to arrest her for murder. That is, until they uncovered one small but crucial detail. Caitlin had an outstanding warrant for theft of service. She had received a $650 Botox procedure and never paid for it. It wasn't much, but it was just enough. Detectives finally had the opening they needed to arrest her and bring her in for questioning.
All right, just hang tight and sit right here in this chair, and someone will be with you. Do you need a water or anything?
No, we love you.
Okay, all right.
She was placed in the interview room, and we let them sit for a little bit because we do want to kind of watch their body language, see what they do, how they respond. If they're fidgety, if they're not. She was interesting because she was extremely still, which kind of stood out to me.
All right, so I'm Detective Connor, and so my partner is actually talking to Colin right now. So I wanted to come in here and start chatting with you and everything, so you don't have to wait super long. So it sounds like you may have some information, may have witnessed something, so I just wanted to chat with you about some stuff. But you're here for a warrant right now, I guess. Are you familiar with what you have going on with that?
No idea.
Okay, so I guess it was like a theft of service warrant, something kind of minor.
Can you give me any information on what you're talking about?
As far as the warrant or as far as everything else?
As far as the warrant.
Yeah, so I don't know too much. I guess it's just a theft of service. Usually that's like something like didn't pay for something pretty minor.
Can you tell me what it was that was the theft of service?
I can look. I'm not sure what it is at this point, but I can look that up later and get you a little bit more information on that for sure, because I'm not sure about that part of it. Okay.
The detective sidestepped Caitlin's question about the warrant, instead steering the conversation toward Mo Wilson's murder. It was a calculated move designed to catch her off guard and closely observe her reaction.
But because you are here and because you were under arrest for that portion of it, we always have to read Miranda and stuff because I want to talk to you about some other stuff that's unrelated to that.
And I'm sorry, if I have an existing warrant and you don't know what it's about, do I need an attorney here?
So the warrant is just a Class B, just theft of service type thing. The reason I'm here is because your name came up during a conversation with Colin. I think there's a lot more information that you have that can kind of explain some of the stuff he's saying. So I'd like to talk to you and kind of get a little bit more information on that. But to be able to do that, I have to read you your rights, just so that you know and you're protected and things like that, okay?
Okay, and so if you're reading me my rights, then I should
That's
have
because of the warrant, because you're under arrest for the warrant. So you're technically in custody because of that warrant. So they're two separate things. Does that make sense?
Detectives had Caitlin right where they wanted her, but then came a critical misstep, one that would cost them everything.
Are they knocking here?
I think it's for something else. So with the warrants, so that's what they're just knocking on the door is apparently that warrant, the date of birth was wrong. So it had your name, but the date of birth is wrong, so it's to a different person. So that's not, you're not under arrest, okay?
Okay.
I know, it's a little crazy.
The warrant had been filed with the wrong birth date. That single clerical error was enough to render it invalid. Without a valid warrant, detectives had no legal grounds to hold Caitlin. The detectives tried to brush it off with a joke, but the damage was done. Caitlin now knew she was free to leave at any moment. Sensing the situation slipping away, the detective quickly shifted tone, trying to keep her engaged and talking.
But I would really like to talk to you and clear some stuff up because Colin did bring your name up, and I think there's a lot more information that you have that can kind of clear some stuff up. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I feel like I should have an attorney present.
So that's totally your choice. So at this point, you are free to leave at any point. So this is going to be consensual at this point because you're not under arrest, okay?
To make matters worse, Caitlin had just asked for an attorney. Legally, the detective was now obligated to stop all questioning related to Mo Wilson's murder. But instead of backing off, she decided to tread a dangerous line, one that risked crossing legal boundaries in a last-ditch effort to get Caitlin to talk.
So there's a situation that's going on. Did you hear about what's happened over the past 24 hours?
Colin walked in the house and said one of the women in the second community passed away.
Yes. Yeah. While Colin was talking to us, your name came up. And it sounds like there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and it sounds like, you know, Colin's been maybe talking to this girl for a little bit and kind of threw your name in there. I want to get your side of it, okay? Because there's always two parts of it. When we hear just his side of the story, he's got a very different version of everything that's going on, okay? When we only hear one side, it only gives us one side to work with. Does that make sense?
I suppose, yes.
It sounds like there were some issues between you and this girl, and I think that there's probably a lot more to it that you could help explain. There's maybe some explanations for a lot of things that happen, and I think it would be very beneficial to get that side of the story so that we can clear it up.
Caitlin was clearly curious. She wanted to know what the detectives knew. And that's why, despite being free to walk out, she stayed put, caught between the instinct to stay silent and the urge to gauge just how much the detectives had uncovered.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean or what information you'd like.
Well, so it sounds like, you know, it sounds like maybe he went out with this girl the other day. And maybe it sounds like from what he's saying that you were a little upset about it. And so that's why I kind of wanted to get your side of it, because that's not fair if he's just saying one thing and trying to go down a route. And I want to make sure that's not the case.
That is not accurate.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to chat with you, because it's a guy. He's gonna say stuff. And so we want to make sure that we get both sides of the story and everything and clear it up. So what were you doing yesterday?
I would like to leave, I think.
You'd like to leave?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, if that's completely your choice, but understand if you do, then we only have one side of the story to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And from what we're hearing from Colin, you know, it's one side, and I think it would be very beneficial to get the other side of it and kind of explain a little bit more of, you know, what's going on actually.
Well, I just am uncertain as to even what you mean or what he could have said, because I didn't have any idea
Exactly,
that he saw or went out with this girl.
Okay, yeah.
Recently.
Has he been like talking to her
I would
on
like
the
to
side?
leave. I don't actually know, and I would like to leave.
Okay.
At that point, getting Caitlin to talk seemed like a lost cause. The moment the detective brought up Colin Strickland and the tension between Caitlin and Mo Wilson, her demeanor shifted. Her body stiffened, and her eyes darted toward the door. She wanted out. Sensing the moment slipping away, the detectives made one final move. She dropped the bombshell, confronting Caitlin with the surveillance footage of the SUV circling Mo's neighborhood on the night of the murder.
So, okay, that's totally your choice. And the door's open, you're welcome to leave. But again, that limits us to where we only have one side of the story. And your vehicle was seen next to her house. And we needed to talk about that, okay? Because when he's saying this stuff and then your vehicle is seen, like, I want to be able to explain, okay, there's a logical explanation for this. Maybe you were upset and you were just in the area or something. Like, I don't know, because I don't have your story. Does that make sense? Because I want to be able to explain that. Okay, when I can't explain that and all I see is that your vehicle's over there, that kind of makes it look not too good, right? Okay, and then when we're talking to Colin and we're hearing like, yeah, there was some jealousy stuff going on, like, that doesn't sound very good. And so that's why I really want to get your side of the story, because maybe there's a lot more going on.
I would like to leave if I'm free to leave.
Okay. Is there any explanation as far as why the vehicle would be over there?
I would like to leave if I'm free to leave.
Okay.
As soon as detectives mentioned the vehicle, Caitlin's demeanor shifted. She became visibly uneasy, anxious to end the conversation and leave the room. To investigators, that reaction was a major red flag.
Typically, with a truthful person that has not done anything, they're going to respond in a manner of, how can I help you? They're going to offer up information. So it was a very different reaction than what I expected from her.
But without enough evidence to hold her, police had no choice. Caitlin Armstrong walked free. Still, one thing was now undeniable. Caitlin was their prime suspect. As the investigation progressed, detectives knew they had to keep a close watch on her and dig deeper into her behavior before and after the murder to uncover any signs of obsession or escalation. And so they turned back to the one person who knew her best, Colin Strickland, who was still in the other interrogation room. If anyone could help them connect the final dots, it was him.
Obviously, a girl who's jealous, and to the point that you're needing to change her number or change the name in your phone. There's a little bit more backstory to that, because you wouldn't feel the need to change it if she wasn't a little bit more upset. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So let's talk about that. What kind of things has she done, said surrounding Mo?
I cannot honestly say that this is something that I can see happening. I cannot imagine it.
Is Caitlin capable of hurting Mo?
I could not imagine her capable of hurting anyone, to be quite honest. I thought she was my impression of her is confrontation adverse. So that I just can't transport myself to this situation. It just doesn't compute. That's all I can say. You're asking me, does this seem like I'm saying no, this does not seem like a conclusion that I would arrive at. It seems like a bizarre dream to me. I wouldn't be living with a fucking person who I think is capable of doing this. I would never, in a million years, have someone in the house with my mother who I think is capable of this. The answer is no. I don't believe it. That's my perspective of the world.
Has Caitlin ever been violent?
Never. My impression of her is almost like a softie.
If Caitlin had been planning to kill Mo, Colin claimed he had no idea. He insisted he'd seen no signs of jealousy or obsession that suggested she was capable of murder. But was he being honest, or was he just too close to see the truth? Police also conducted a forensic analysis of the two guns found at Colin's home.
Both of those handguns were taken to our crime scene laboratory. They were fingerprinted and swabbed for DNA.
Test rounds were fired, and the shell casings were entered into the National Ballistic Database. They were then compared to the casings recovered near Mo Wilson's body.
This was done by microscopically measuring the distance between the pin mechanism inside of the handgun and the indention that was on the spent cartridge cases.
The results were undeniable. The shell casings found at the scene matched those fired from the Sig Sauer P365, the gun registered to Caitlin Armstrong. Her firearm was the murder weapon. At this point, police had a mounting case. Caitlin's car was seen at the scene. Her obsessive behavior towards Mo was well documented, and her gun matched the one used in the murder.
Mariah was younger. She was well-liked and well-respected. We began to feel that Caitlin could be very jealous of Mariah. What we're looking at here is a love triangle.
But it still wasn't enough. To make an arrest, they needed irrefutable proof, something that would leave no room for doubt. So they followed what no one can erase, the digital trail. They collected cell phone data from Caitlin, Colin, and Mo, along with GPS records from Caitlin's Jeep and Colin's motorcycle. By cross-referencing the digital data with surveillance footage, investigators mapped out the precise movements of all three of them on the night of May 11, 2022. Now they had a comprehensive trail, and it was about to reveal a disturbing pattern. At 6:33 p.m., Caitlin's Jeep pulled out of her driveway on Fort Clark Drive and initially headed toward downtown Austin. But about an hour later, it changed course and turned east toward Caitlin Cash's home in East Austin. Colin and Mo arrived at Poolburger around 7 p.m. after their swim. By 8:16 p.m., they left on Colin's motorcycle, heading back to Cash's residence. At 8:26 p.m., surveillance footage captured Caitlin's Jeep driving north on Maple Avenue, then turning west on East 18th Street, circling the neighborhood for roughly 15 minutes. As Colin dropped Mo off, neither of them realized that Caitlin was nearby, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. At 8:35 p.m., surveillance showed Colin riding northbound through the alley near East 18th Street. 1 minute later, at 8:36 p.m., Mo unlocked the door to Caitlin Cash's home and went inside. Then at 8:37 p.m., Caitlin's Jeep was captured pulling into the alley and stopping directly beside the house. Moments later, a nearby Ring doorbell camera recorded Mo screaming, followed by gunshots. The next time Caitlin's Jeep was seen moving was at 9:17 p.m., roughly 2 minutes after the gunshots were fired. It made 2 brief stops near dumpsters before eventually returning to Strickland's house at 9:48 p.m. On the other hand, Colin's phone data placed him 8 miles away from Cash's home, driving southbound on the I-35 frontage road by 8:48 p.m.
GPS data showed that he did not stay long once he dropped Mariah off.
What we also found was that Colin received a phone call at about 9:07 that evening from a friend of his, and his friend ended up confirming that this was Colin that he was speaking to. The phone call lasted about 8 minutes, and he hung up the phone at 9:15, which is the same time that gunshots could be heard on the doorbell camera. This proved to me that there was no way that Colin could have been involved in the murder.
When detectives examined Caitlin Armstrong's phone records, they uncovered another critical piece of evidence. Her phone had been turned off at 7:30 p.m. on May 11, 2022, and wasn't powered back on until 9:47 p.m., a blackout window that perfectly aligned with the time Mo Wilson was killed.
it seems as though she's trying to hide her whereabouts, hide her location and her movement during the time of the murder.
Caitlin may have thought turning off her phone would cover her tracks, but instead it did the opposite. It raised even more suspicion. While analyzing Caitlin's phone, detectives uncovered another disturbing detail. She had access to Colin's Apple iCloud account, allowing her to see logs of his calls and texts. Even more alarming, just 9 days before the murder, she had logged into his Gmail and Instagram accounts from her own phone. Caitlin used that access to dig deeper into Mo Wilson's life. In the weeks leading up to the murder, she looked up Mo several times and tracked her movements and activities through the Strava fitness app. Investigators also recovered a deleted note from Caitlin Armstrong's phone. It contained a single entry, 1704 Maple Avenue. The address wasn't tied to an official residence, but a quick Google Maps search showed it pointed directly to the location where Mo Wilson was staying. Even more chilling, the note had been deleted on May 12, 2022, one day after the murder. Two of Caitlin's friends, Nicole Mertz and Jacqueline Chastain, came forward with damning information. They told police that on 2 different occasions, Caitlin had confided in them about her growing jealousy over Colin's relationship with Mo Wilson. She was convinced he had cheated on her, and she was livid.
They had a discussion with Caitlin at an after-party event, and that Caitlin had just seen Mariah. Caitlin was furious. She was shaking. The caller indicated that Caitlin told her that she wanted to kill Mariah. And of course, the caller thought, you don't really mean that. Caitlin, though, she said, no, I really want to kill her.
With the evidence against Caitlin Armstrong piling up, there was only one thing left for investigators to do: arrest her.
She plotted and planned this murder. She tracked Mariah Wilson to that apartment, and she stood over her and shot her one final time. And for somebody to be able to do that, to have the capacity to do that, it's just cold-hearted.
On May 17th, 2022, 6 days after Mo Wilson's murder, a warrant was issued for Caitlin Armstrong's arrest on charges of first-degree murder. But by then, it was too late. Caitlin Armstrong was already on the run. On May 13th, 2022, just one day after being questioned about Mo Wilson's murder, Caitlin Armstrong sold her Jeep Cherokee to a CarMax dealership in South Austin for $12,200. The very next day, she boarded a flight from Austin Bergstrom International Airport to Houston. From there, she caught a connecting flight to New York's LaGuardia Airport. And then the trail went cold. Despite combing through domestic flight logs and surveillance footage, detectives couldn't find a trace of where Caitlin had gone next. Until someone close to her made a discovery that changed everything. Desperate for answers, they reached out to her family. That's when they uncovered a crucial clue. Her sister, Christine Armstrong's passport, was missing. It now seemed likely that Caitlin Armstrong hadn't just disappeared, she had fled the country. So investigators expanded their search to international flight records, this time under the name Christine Armstrong, and what they found confirmed their worst fears. On May 18, 2022, Caitlin Armstrong had used her sister's passport to board a one-way flight from Newark Liberty International Airport to San Jose, Costa Rica. Realizing they were now dealing with an international fugitive, local law enforcement called in the U.S. Marshals Service.
During the investigation in Costa Rica, it was learned that Armstrong traveled to multiple destinations, to include San Jose, where she landed there at the airport, to Jaco Beach, and to Santa Teresa, Costa Rica.
Given Caitlin's background as a yoga instructor, the marshals focused their search on yoga studios and hostels in Santa Teresa.
It was discovered Armstrong used different names, aliases, under the alias of Beth Martin, Liz, and Ari Martin. Armstrong used these names at yoga studios and other lodging since her arrival in Costa Rica on May 18th.
But tracking her down wasn't easy. The town was filled with tourists and yoga practitioners, many of whom resembled Caitlin. So the marshals went old school.
Officials involved in the investigation conducted old-fashioned law enforcement techniques, went door to door, conducted multiple interviews, going from yoga establishment to other yoga establishments, and also made contact with lodging venues that she had left behind.
As weeks went by without any sign of Caitlin Armstrong, the marshals came up with a bold plan to draw her out. They posted a Facebook ad on a local Santa Teresa page, advertising a yoga instructor position. Caitlin, using one of her aliases, took the bait. She responded, expressing interest in the job. That led authorities straight to Don John's Surf and Yoga Hostel. Costa Rican police and U.S. Marshals launched surveillance on the property, working to confirm her identity. Since arriving in Costa Rica, Caitlin had gone to great lengths to avoid detection.
According to foreign officials, Armstrong altered her physical appearance. She dyed her hair brown. She cropped her hair shorter to about shoulder length and had a bandage on her nose where she claimed it was from a surfboard incident just days before.
But that wasn't all. She had also undergone plastic surgery, including a nose job, a brow lift, and possibly facial fillers. But despite all the changes, one thing gave her away: her eyes. They remained distinct and recognizable. On June 29, 2022, after more than 6 weeks on the run, Caitlin Armstrong was finally arrested. She was taken into custody and brought in for questioning. At first, she stuck to her story, insisting she was someone else and claiming her bandaged nose and bruised eyes were from a surfing accident. But investigators weren't buying it. They were convinced the injuries weren't from the ocean. They were the result of a deliberate cosmetic surgery, a calculated attempt to erase her identity and stay hidden. Their suspicions were confirmed when they searched Caitlin's locker. Inside, they found a receipt for cosmetic surgery and 2 passports. One belonged to her, the other belonged to her sister. The evidence was undeniable. After hours of questioning and the exhaustion of 43 days on the run, Caitlin finally cracked. She admitted to being the fugitive authorities had been chasing across the globe. Caitlin was extradited to the United States and arraigned on July 21, 2022. She pleaded not guilty to the murder charge and was held on a $3.5 million bond at the Travis County Jail.
We were able to get a DNA sample from her. That sample we took from Caitlin Armstrong was compared to the swabs that were taken from the crime scene on the bike that we found in the abandoned lot. It came back as a match to Caitlin Armstrong.
And just like that, the case stopped being circumstantial. Investigators now had physical evidence linking Caitlin Armstrong directly to the victim's bike. The last thread had just snapped into place. There was no room left for doubt. After months of delays from pretrial motions and hearings, her trial was finally set for October 30th, 2023. But what investigators didn't know was that Caitlin still had one more trick up her sleeve, and it was the most shocking one yet. On October 11th, 2023, just days before her trial was set to begin, Caitlin Armstrong requested a medical appointment for a leg injury. She specifically asked not to be placed in leg restraints due to medical reasons. While being escorted back to jail after the appointment, Caitlin made one last-ditch attempt to escape. She ran and attempted to scale a 6-foot fence before officers caught up with her.
As they were leaving the facility, she ran from those corrections officers, and she made it in total about a block and a half. Both of the officers who were pursuing her on foot never lost eyesight of her. They could see her the whole time.
Surveillance footage revealed that she had been preparing for this escape for months, exercising intensely in the day room and during recreation time to build strength and stamina. Inside her cell, officers found a metal pen with the pin removed and dental floss, both potential tools to tamper with restraints. But despite her efforts, her bid for freedom was short-lived. She was quickly apprehended and brought back into custody. Caitlin Armstrong's trial began on November 1st, 2023. Her defense argued there was no direct evidence tying her to Mo Wilson's murder. No eyewitnesses, no surveillance showing her at the scene. They claimed the case was built on circumstantial evidence, speculation, and confirmation bias, rather than solid proof. They also questioned Colin Strickland's credibility, emphasizing his lies to Armstrong and suggesting his testimony was unreliable. But the jury didn't buy it. After 2.5 weeks of testimony and deliberation, Caitlin Armstrong was found guilty of murdering Anna Mariah Mo Wilson, and on November 17, 2023, she was sentenced to 90 years in prison.